Hey everybody, this is Anthony from VR Game Rankings, and welcome to episode 7 of the daily vlog for Tuesday, October 10th, 2017. And today is a big day because today is the release of Arctica 1. Later today, I should be playing Arctica 1, and I'll definitely be talking about it on the episode tomorrow. I'm not sure exactly when this game goes live, where you can start downloading it and get ready to play it. I was just on Reddit and the Oculus subreddit and the Vive subreddit, and I don't think it's gone live quite yet. So it might go live while I'm doing this, and then I'll download it later. But definitely will try that game later today, and I'm sure that I'll have plenty of thoughts on Arctica 1 tomorrow. So that will be the highlight of tomorrow's vlog. Now, today, what do we have for today? Well, we do have a pretty big news story. So Valve released a press release yesterday where they were talking about hardware and software. And basically what I'll do is I'll read a little bit of this press release here, and then we can go over this. Okay, so what this is apparently Valve has created a new lens design that is to be used in future Steam VR headsets. And what's going to happen here is the design of this lens is going to combine with their software stack to take advantage of the experience in certain ways, and to basically kind of bend the rules a little bit and make things look better with a combination of software and hardware. And with these new lenses is supposed to help things out. So let's go ahead and read this quote here, and then we can talk about it some more. Okay, Valve has developed custom lenses that work with both LCD and OLED display technologies, and is making these lenses available to purchase for use in Steam VR compatible HMDs. These lenses and Valve's unique calibration and correction software are designed specifically to be paired with several off-the-shelf VR displays to enable the highest quality VR visual experiences. These optical solutions currently support a field of view between 85 and 120 degrees, depending on the display. The lenses, which are designed to support the next generation of room-scale virtual reality, optimize the viewer's perceived tracking experience and image sharpness while reducing stray light. Valve is including the custom lens calibration and correction software within the Steam VR technology suite. Okay, so the real key here, there's a couple of keys to this thing. But the first one is this quote. They want to optimize the user's perceived tracking experience and image sharpness while reducing stray light. Now, so when we think about stray light, I think we're talking about like the God rays and the glare, the annoying glare. So on the Oculus Rift, you have what's known as God rays, and people will say the same thing for the HTC Vive, but I've always said, no, it's not really God rays. It's more of just this annoying glare that you can't seem to, well, you get into an experience, you get captured in an experience, you eventually forget about it. But when you first put on your Steam VR headset and you're in the Steam VR loading zone, basically, you know how the floor is basically white, and then the backgrounds are kind of black. And so if you look down towards the bottom where that white floor and that black background meets, you'll see incredible amounts of glare, and it's very annoying, it's very irritating. And PlayStation VR doesn't feature this. You know, this is the Fresnel lenses and all of that type of thing. So apparently Valve has made these customized lenses that will be used in future VR headsets, and it's built in with their software stack. Let's see, I got another quote here. Let me get the other quote. There's a quote from Jeremy Seelan of Valve. Okay, he has a couple of quotes that I'll read here. World-class VR requires highly precise tracking, matched optics and display technologies, and a software stack that weaves together the interactions between these components. For the first time, we're making all of these technologies available to anyone who wants to build a best-in-class VR system for the millions of Steam customers accessing over 2,000 Steam VR compatible titles. So that's pretty much the big information that came out yesterday from Valve. And this kind of press release, these kinds of things, we hear about these things from every once in a while. Oh, the other big thing is 85 to 120 degrees. 85 is kind of weird. If we go back to 85, that's kind of a downside to me. Like, that is not exciting if we go back to 85 degrees. I don't know why anyone would go back down to 85 degrees. 120 does sound pretty good. I think most of the displays that we're using now are around 110, 105, somewhere in that area. I know myself personally, I use a foam face gasket that is not the retail version. I have my own, which is like maybe 4 millimeters thick. Maybe it's not even 6 millimeters. You can buy a 6 millimeter one on eBay, but the one that I have is like 4 millimeters. And what it does is it allows me to get my eyes way up in there. And I also have the mechanism of the lenses as close as possible. So I have absolute maximum field of view on my Vive. When I put my Vive on, I'm seeing way more FOV than somebody that is just using a retail Vive. And I know this to be the case because my son, when one of my sons comes in here, he doesn't like that super thin Vive. It's too thin for him, and I guess it kind of hurts his face a little bit. It's fine for me. I don't really have a problem with it. But he always wants to switch to the retail face gasket. So we switch back to the retail one, and then he'll be playing something. And then later on that night, it's time for me to play something. I put it on. I'm like, oh man, this is the freaking retail foam face gasket. I feel like my eyes are way far away. My field of view is nowhere near as good. So I'm a field of view junkie. So if we can get to 120 degrees and still maybe have room for a face gasket mod to get even closer, maybe I could get close to 130 degrees. That would be incredible, because I think if you want to get to like the 200 degrees and all that, then you have to go with a completely different design, like that Pimax design or the Star VR with the big long thing. And I don't know if I want to go down that road. I mean, I'm definitely interested in trying that out, but I'm not sure if that's where we really want to go right now. I definitely believe that 200 degree field of view will be the way that we play VR games like 10, 15 years from now. But what I think is going to happen is we're actually going to have curved screens. So we're not going to have these huge, gigantic headsets like the Pimax and the Star VR. I think we're going to end up with curved screens, and it's not going to be that bad. Now, the real thing to think about, though, from this information is, once again, we're finding out about information from the standpoint that this is not going to work on our current Vives. And so this is technology for new headsets. And I don't know if you guys feel the same way I feel, but it seems like we're always finding out this information or that information or this information or that information that is starting to make it seem like our HTC Vives are starting to become obsolete. Okay, and let me just explain this for a second. Okay, so we got these Knuckles controllers that are going to be coming, right? Okay, so that pretty much makes those HTC Vive wands obsolete. We know we're going to have the Knuckles controllers at some point. We've already heard about new lighthouses. Now, we don't necessarily need these new lighthouses, but there will be some advantages with these new lighthouses. Supposedly they work a little bit better. Supposedly they're quieter, less vibrations. You could potentially add more than, I think, 2. I think you could eventually add additional lighthouses. But the lighthouses are not backwards compatible with the original Vive headset. It needs to have new sensors. So we need new headsets. And then you add these lenses, these new lenses, and this software stack that takes advantage of it. And it's starting to become a situation where I feel like we need to get a new headset for Steam VR. And so, as an original HTC Vive owner, as somebody that got a Vive back in April, I'm still in a situation where I'm trying to think about buying another lighthouse, maybe getting a used Vive or something like that to get another lighthouse, because I'm down a lighthouse. But I'm starting to wonder, man, maybe I just sell off everything I have Vive related right now, part it out piece by piece. Don't buy a new lighthouse. Instead, just put that money off to the side and wait for the next Steam VR headset that comes along, because I kind of want the new lighthouses, I want the knuckles, and now I want these lenses. I want the whole kit and caboodle. Is that wrong of me to want that? But that's what I want. And so I feel like maybe the LG, we heard about this LG headset so very long ago. And where the hell is this LG? We haven't seen it in forever. There appears to be no imminent announcement of this LG headset coming anytime soon. So it's starting to appear more and more likely that if we're going to get a new Steam VR headset that is licensed by Valve and has all the Valve technology with it, we are going to wait for 2018. I don't think we're getting this LG this year, because I think if we were, we would have already heard about it by now. I don't see it happening. So I see this as maybe a spring 2018 type of thing. Now we know about the whole Pimax thing. That's going to be coming early in 2018 as well. Will the Pimax have these lenses? I don't know. I don't know how much Pimax has really been working with Valve. How long has Valve had these lenses designed? Is this something they just figured out just now, and LG is like, oh shit, our freaking headset doesn't have these lenses? These are all kinds of unanswered questions that we simply don't have the answers to at this point in time. But if you're looking to buy a brand new HTC Vive, man, it's kind of an interesting situation. Now, if you're not a hardcore VR enthusiast nut, you'll probably be fine with the standard Vive package. Maybe you'll get Knuckles controllers later on. You'll upgrade to that. But for me, as a hardcore VR nut, I have an Oculus Rift, and I can play most of the Vive games just fine. Every once in a while, I do have the occasional game that sucks on the Rift for some weird reason, but I can play most of the stuff out there. I've only got one working lighthouse right now, so I'm kind of between a rock and a hard place, because I'm hearing all of these announcements about all this new Steam VR stuff that's coming down the pipe, and I'm starting to get it in the back of my mind. Maybe I should just dump all this HTC Vive stuff that I currently have, sell off all these parts, part it out, sell it individually, sell the headset by itself, maybe try to get $200 for that, maybe sell one of my individual lighthouses for $100, maybe sell my controllers for like $75 each. I don't know. I don't know how much money I can get for all of this stuff. It would be an interesting experiment, to be sure, but maybe I could part out all these little pieces of my Vive, try to get as much money as I can for all that stuff, and then also the money that I was going to spend on this new lighthouse, that is set aside. It combines with this other money, and I'm ready to go, man. Early 2018, when one of these new Steam VR headsets come out, hopefully the Knuckles will be in the box, the new lighthouses will be in the box, and these new lenses will be in the box. And so I'm kind of thinking in that way. I'm kind of headed in that direction. So I don't know. It's very interesting, but I will tell you this, that this news, it seems like we're always getting news that is starting to make it seem like our Vive is a little bit more outdated every single day. And it's not that big of a deal. I mean, if you have a Vive right now, you're still enjoying great experiences. You got Fallout 4 VR coming on December 12th. What about that? If I don't have a working Vive, what if I'm not able to play Fallout 4 VR on December 12th? Now that would freaking suck. So I have to consider that as well. But yeah, it's an interesting situation to be sure, because we're kind of in a no man's land right now. Because if you wait until 2018, when the LG and when everything else possibly gets announced, your Vive ain't going to be worth a hell of a lot at that point. And then everybody and their mom is going to try to dump their Vive to upgrade. And that's where it can get a bit sketchy. So it's going to be highly interesting to see how all of this stuff shakes out. And it seems like we get these new hardware announcements almost every other day. And this stuff has to show up eventually on an actual real headset. The knuckles, I think, have to be in the box. Like Valve, if anybody from Valve ever listened to any of our podcasts at VR Roundtable or listened to anything here at VR Game Rankings, my suggestion is do whatever you possibly can do to get those knuckles controllers into the retail boxes as quickly as humanly possible once those knuckle controllers are available, because we want to have the smallest number of people possible that don't have these knuckles. And every single retail box of a Steam VR headset that sells without the knuckles is a lost opportunity. It's a bad situation. So let's clear out of all that stock now, and let's get the knuckles into the retail boxes for these new HMDs that come next year. Same thing with the new lighthouses, and of course now with these lenses. So that's that story there. Another story I wanted to get to is The Invisible Hours by Tequila Works. Okay, so Tequila Works, you might have heard of a game called Rime. Now, R-I-M-E, Rime. Rime is a game that I think was maybe announced for PlayStation 3, actually, and it kind of looked like The Last Guardian, or it kind of had that feel, like an eco type of a game, and going in that road basically. And it was delayed forever, and then it came to the PlayStation 4, or maybe it was always PlayStation 4, but it was just delayed forever. And then Rime finally came out. Well, Tequila Works has been working on a VR game for quite some time, and the VR game is called The Invisible Hours. Now, I don't know how I missed this game or wasn't really following it. I think I heard about its original announcement and everything, but I just wasn't tracking with this game, right? And so last night or yesterday I was on Reddit and I saw a thread that Upload VR gave this game a 9 out of 10, which is an incredibly high score. Upload VR can be kind of harsh on their reviews sometimes. Like, they've given games 5 out of 10s that I've given an 88 score. And it's not that I'm giving away 88s like I'm giving away lollipops, but I get passionate about certain games, and sometimes they don't have that same passion, or they might like a game and I don't like it at all. So you just never know. But they gave this game a 9 out of 10, The Invisible Hours. And I looked into this game and was watching footage of it and stuff, and reading about it. And so apparently what this is a murder mystery that you're involved in. It uses kind of famous characters like Nikola Tesla and Alexander Graham Bell, or I forget who's in it, but it's kind of like a historic type of thing. But you're trying to solve this murder mystery. I think there's 7 suspects. And what you do is you can watch these scenes play out, and then you can rewind them and fast forward them, kind of like Batman Detective Mode or that game Quinero, that demo Quinero. And what you do is you can watch a scene unfold, and then you can teleport over to a different location and rewatch the scene. You might see some clues here. You might see a red herring that takes you down the wrong path. And it's this type of adventure that you're trying to solve. Now, Upload VR did mention there's not a lot of interactivity here. You're not really doing a lot. You don't have a lot of agency in the game. And some could even argue maybe it's not even really a game. But what this is an experience that maybe blurs the lines between a game and an experience. And it's this detective murder mystery, which I think sounds great. I think this sounds wonderful. I'm very interested in this. Now, here's the deal. The game is $30, so it's not exactly a cheap buy. I have reached out to Tequila Works to try to get a code for VR Game Rankings, because I'd love to cover this. So, as somebody that runs a website, and then I'm also doing this YouTube thing, and of course I'm on VR Roundtable as well, I do try to get codes from these developers, and I'm not going to be shy about it. I try to get codes, and if you're a developer watching this and you want to send me a code for your game, I'm absolutely game to try it out. But I'm not going to guarantee you any kind of coverage or anything like that. It just depends on if the game speaks to me or if it doesn't speak to me. And if I feel an overwhelming desire where, man, this game is really speaking to me, I will absolutely speak to it 2MD VR football is a very good example of that. We're talking, I mean, that's a small game that a lot of people still don't even know that game exists, but that spoke to me, and I gave that game quite a bit of coverage. I reviewed it, I wrote an article about it, talked about it on VR Roundtable. But I will ask for codes from developers because there's so many freaking VR games. If I were to try to buy every single VR game that came out with my own personal money, I would be in the poorhouse, okay? I would not be in this room. I would be on the streets because I'd be broke and penniless. There's just too many VR games. So I do ask for codes. So hopefully I'll get lucky with Tequila Works. Hopefully they'll give me a code for the Invisible Hours because I really want to try this game out. It looks really interesting. It looks very intriguing. And 9 out of 10 score is a really high score. Now, last night, I was thinking, like I was reading about this game, right? And I'm like, so is this on Steam? Is it going to be on Oculus Store? I was looking on Steam. I was looking on Oculus. Couldn't find this game anywhere. Apparently, this game is published by Game Trust, which is a deal that is set up with GameStop, where GameStop is publishing a certain number of games. You might remember Insomniac. I think it was Insomniac worked out a deal with GameStop, and they had like Songs of the Deep or something. They had this one underwater game that was like exclusive to GameStop, and you had to get the download and blah, blah, blah. But I think it ended up on Steam and stuff like that. And so last night I was kind of worried about this, The Invisible Hours, because I couldn't find a Steam page for it. It wasn't on Oculus. I'm like, really, am I going to have to use some other client and go to this Game Trust thing and download? What are they going to give me, an exe, like just an execution file? Do they have a client? Like, I don't know what the deal is with this. But then today, this morning, before doing this daily vlog today, The Invisible Hours is on Steam. So there is a Steam page that started up today. So you can go ahead and buy this game on Steam. But it looks really good. It looks very interesting. Again, not a ton of interactivity. So I think the big complaint that some people may have with this is that they're barely involved in it, and it's more of an experience. It's more like you're watching a play unfold and you have minor interactivity, but that's still interesting and exciting as well. So I still have a lot of interest and excitement in this. Tequila Works did some pretty good stuff with Rhyme, even though it took forever and a day for that game to finally hit. But yeah, so The Invisible Hours, interesting. Something I wasn't paying a ton of attention to, but I definitely want to check that out. Let's see here. A couple other things I wanted to mention is, yesterday I talked about how raw data, I finally tried raw data again because it came out of early access, and I wanted to see if there was any major differences, anything big about it, anything that I would really notice. And there really wasn't much. But I also mentioned that Dead Effect 2 VR has also come out of early access, and that I wanted to try that out, and I did give it a try. I tried it yesterday. I don't believe I've ever played Dead Effect 2 VR using my Oculus Rift. I think I was always using my Vive when I tried it, so it was a good opportunity for me to try it with the Oculus Rift. I did try it yesterday, and it worked great. There really wasn't any difference at all. It felt good. It wasn't like raw data where I felt it was just not quite right to me for some reason. So Dead Effect 2 VR felt good. Now, did I notice any major differences? Not really. I got back into the area of the game where I'm at, where I'm stuck. I'm in this one spot, man, where I have a shotgun, right? And these zombies keep coming at me, and they're just relentless. And you got to pump that shotgun, and you got to shoot them in their head. And if you miss that shot, and then you got to pump again, and there's 4 of them swarming you, I just die over and over and over again in this particular level that I'm in, okay? And so what I need to do with this game is I either need to like change the settings to like easy or something, or I need to get into a co-op game where I have a partner with me, another person in the game with me for this section, because I can't get past this section. Now, I did try to get into a PvP match, a little multiplayer match, because I thought, well, let's check it out. Let's try it out. And so I created a game, and loaded it up, but I was the only one in there. Nobody joined my game, and I was just kind of going around through this really small level, just kind of waiting to see if somebody would get into the game. Unfortunately, nobody got into the game with me. So if you do want to play multiplayer in this game, you might actually have to work it out with some buddies offline and decide that you're going to meet up at the same time and do it like that, because otherwise I don't know that you're going to find a lot of online players. I mostly just want to go through the single player. I was really into the single player. It really looks a lot like Doom 3 BFG, except more color and a little bit less jank, more vibrancy a little bit. But it's difficult. It's very difficult. The zombies are really cool in Dead Effect 2 VR. They remind me of Arizona Sunshine from the standpoint that if you take the time to really look at these zombies when they get close up to you, it's some serious nightmare fuel. I mean, absolute nightmare fuel with some of these zombies if you actually take the time to look at them. But you're so busy trying to double pump your shotgun and trying to get headshots that you really don't normally take the time to appreciate the character models. But the zombies are really cool, and the vibe of the game is pretty cool too. It's very intense. It has that intense action. It puts you into that world. There's flashing lights, there's steam and smoke, and it has a good atmosphere. It has a good vibe. I really like Dead Effect 2 VR. That's Badfly Interactive. I remember that game was $19.99 at one point, but now it's $24.99. But I think it's still a very solid game. That's Dead Effect 2 VR. Came out of early access. Didn't notice a ton of differences really, but still plays very well, and it's a very tight package. So I do like Dead Effect 2 VR. It's one of my favorites actually for this year. One day I'm going to have to sit down and kind of rank my favorite games of 2017 and see where they all kind of line up. Okay, one other thing I wanted to mention is Oculus Connect 4 starts tomorrow. I kind of forgot about this, but I was on the Oculus subreddit and people were like, hey, Oculus Connect 4, this is the week, let's get hyped. Yeah, the Oculus Connect 4 is tomorrow. There's a keynote tomorrow. Who knows what's going to be announced? Now, we have all this new hardware announcements that are coming out left and right from all different directions. What is Oculus going to announce? So I don't know that they're going to have any real major hardware announcements. I don't know if they're going to show a game that we weren't expecting. Maybe we're going to get one big Oculus game unveiled to us that we never knew about. Something along the lines of a Lone Echo or an Arctica 1, kind of like the Marvel Powers United VR. Something along those lines, like a big heavy hitter. We might hear about that. So lots of excitement there. I'm looking forward to Oculus Connect 4, and I'm sure that probably won't be talking about it tomorrow because the keynotes happen after I do my daily vlog. So that's probably something I will be discussing on Thursday. So that is Oculus Connect 4. Okay, so we're almost winding down here. I'm almost out of my 30 minutes. But what I do want to mention is this Sonic VR. Now, this unofficial Sonic VR demo, I don't know if you guys have heard about it. It's shown up on Reddit. People are talking about it a little bit. I actually downloaded and tried this. Now, what I understand is if you have an HTC Vive, this doesn't seem to work right with an HTC Vive. I don't know why. I really haven't looked into it very deeply, and so I don't know a ton about why it doesn't work very great with the HTC Vive, but I've heard from a couple of Vive players that it seems like you need to have an Oculus for this to work. Well, I do have an Oculus. I downloaded the file. It's like itch.io, and it's like one of the, when the thing first loads up, the guy says, hey, this is all Sega's properties. I'm not charging any money for this, the whole rigmarole thing, right? It's kind of similar to that Spider-Man game that came out not too long ago, where somebody had a Spider-Man experience where you could kind of swing through what looked kind of like a New York City environment, and you're kind of being Spider-Man, and it was just a free experience. People could download it. I heard you can't find that Spider-Man thing anymore, so maybe Marvel shut that down and you just can't find it anywhere. So if you want to try this Sonic VR thing, you should probably grab it pretty quick. Now, I tried it yesterday, and I gotta tell you, if you want an exercise game, oh my God, this is an exercise game to the 12th freaking degree, because now it's supposed to have like these different locomotion options where you kind of walk in place, you run in place, you jog in place. The only way I could get this game, like I could get my Sonic character to move as fast as I wanted him to move, is I had to actually lift my feet off of the ground and like actually do like jogging, like I'm really jogging, okay? And so you want to talk about a workout? Like this is a freaking major workout. I only played this thing for like 5 minutes and I was like almost already out of breath and stuff. So I need to get in better shape, of course, but basically this thing is major exercise. The other thing that's kind of weird about it, I mean, it's very much Sonic, like the first level of Sonic. It looks very much like that. The water, the trees, the coins, and you can jump like Sonic. You can jump and you can get the rings, but it's weird. There's something a little bit weird about it. There's something a little bit off about it, because like I was jumping and then it'd be like, oh, got a little bit of some motion sickness here and there when I played this Sonic thing. I need to try it again, because when I tried it yesterday, I was not prepared to get all hot and sweaty like that. I didn't know that this was that much of an exercise thing. But I tried it out. It was pretty cool. I mean, for somebody that played Sonic back in 1991, Sonic was incredible. I got that game the day it freaking came out, okay? And I was a big Sonic guy. So to actually be in the world of Sonic was really cool. The one thing that I hope that comes out of this is Sega sees this, Sega tries this, and Sega says, hey, this is a freaking no-brainer. Why don't we do this? You know, they could look at To the Top, they could look at Climby, they could look at some of these other VR platformers, and yeah, you could create some type of first-person Sonic. Now, actually running physically, because I had to do this to get my Sonic guy to move properly, that is a little bit much. But it's great exercise. So if you want a new exercise plan, try this Sonic game. It is absolute exercise. No two ways about that. So anyway, guys, I'm past the 30-minute mark, so that is going to go, and that's going to go ahead and wrap it up for episode 7 of the VR Game Rankings vlog for Tuesday, October 10th, 2017. I'm going to be playing Arctica 1 later today, so I'll definitely be talking about that tomorrow, and I'll see you guys tomorrow. Take it easy.